It's an honor, Agnes. Now, we've been talking a lot off camera. You're a nurse, you're a community leader, you're into helping people with disabilities, which is noble as. Tell us a little bit about you and what you're working on. Awesome, Agnes.
So for me, yes, I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse, but I come from a corporate world. I worked in the bank for years, and I worked in the taxation office far more years than I worked in the banking industry when I moved to Australia. And I became a nurse after my daughter was diagnosed with what we thought was going to be a chronic illness, because the available cure for the condition is and not very, very easily to have. So I changed careers because of that. So right now, I own a business. I do look after people who got not just disabilities, but any child or elderly, from a child from 7 years to the age of 65. So our company looks after that in their own homes. We also have respite care, and we do different activities for people in their own homes. But apart from that, also, I still continue advocating for sickle cell disease, which is something that my daughter had for 12 years.
Wow. It's impressive. You do so many amazing things. And I just wanted to ask you as well, right now, we've been in varying degrees of lockdowns across the country. How has lockdowns affected you and your business and the people that you care for?
It's been hard. It's been hard because and for me, because my daughter has a chronic illness. She's cured, but she's still vulnerable because she had a bone marrow transplant 2 years ago. Wow. So we are still being cautious not to be around people just in case. So for me, I have to isolate myself and let other people do the work. But it's been difficult to get clients, obviously, and we're just trying to do the best we can. I stayed home for a while, for about a year, especially when we were, in the danger zone in Melbourne. And then I just started going back for work. I also work full time. I work full time. Yes, I do. I work full time. I'm an assessor in the aged care industry as well. So I do work full time, but I've also got this business that I'm running. It's been hard, but we're getting there.
Yeah. That brings me into my next question, where I was going and where I'm going with the whole interview is, how do you do it, Agnes? Like, I've known you for a few weeks now, even though I've only known you for a few weeks, it feels like I've known you forever. But the thing I've noticed about you is that you are a superwoman. You are doing so many things at once. What are your secrets for winning and taking on so many fronts at once? I'm impressed. I couldn't do it. I want to know what your secrets are.
I think it's just the passion and being dedicated. To be honest, I know what I want, and I just have to sort of have a plan and dedication. Of course, sometimes you can miss deadlines, but I know on paper that I need to do this. I'm a mom, a business person. I'm an employer. I'm an employee. I'm also an advocate. And all that goes on together, because especially now that I've gone back to working on site, I dedicate being an advocate on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, being an employer every day of the week. Yeah. And then I'm lucky that my job, I need to be on site maybe 3 days out of the 5 days, and the 2 to 3 days I'm working from home. So it sort of just works well. But of course, sometimes it ties in. When I'm working at lunchtime, I need to reply to emails. When I'm not working, I'm still writing reports. Even over the weekend, I do write some of the reports that I'm supposed to write during the week. So it's having a plan, dedication, and just being passionate about what you do. Yeah, I guess. Oh.
I love where you're going. I suppose the big question I'm sure a lot of our audience is thinking is, out of all the amazing things that you're doing, what is the big thing you're focusing on right now? What's that number one thing you really are working on in 2021?
I'm focusing on growing my business, to be honest. At this point in my life, I'm in my 40s. I want to be able to retire comfortably. So I'm focusing on my business, but I'm also passionate about what I do. My work, in terms of the work that my 9 to 5 job, I I've worked especially when I became a nurse, I've worked in different roles in the hospital system, mostly in the aged care system. But I'm passionate to see that because I've worked at all stages in aged care, now I'm at the far end where I look at what, how people in aged care look after the elderly. So I want to also contribute that part to see that those elder people in aged care are looked after. So that's my job, to make sure that the people in the aged care places are actually being looked after well. So I'm passionate about that as well. I just want to make sure that those are also looked after, but also growing my business is my number one focus, because I want to retire maybe in the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh, and I couldn't agree with you more. And the biggest thing that I've learned, and 2020 taught me this, and I'm sure a lot of people watching big time, that, if you don't have a clear focus of what you're trying to do, and this happened to me for a while, I got in a lot of trouble, by the way. If you don't have a clear focus of what you're trying to do, years and years can go by, can't they? And you're just wondering, where do all those years go? Have you ever had that feeling, Agnes?
Yes. I tell you, I can't believe that I'm in Australia almost 20 years, because when we moved here, seriously, I came here for 2 years. I seriously came here for 2 years, and I can't believe that I'm here 20 years. I'm still working. But all my life, I've felt that, I want to retire early. I'm one person who loves life, loves traveling, loves nice things, but I have to be able to afford those things. So I need to work harder a few years so that I can be comfortable at the end of a certain period. I don't want to be working in my 60s or in my 70s. So that's why I need to work harder now. And I know I can do it. I know myself, I'm a very hard worker. If I dedicate something, I want something, I'll do it. But it has to be a short period. I don't want to do this for 20 years. Next 10 years, I'm done, then I can retire and be able to travel around the world.
I couldn't agree with you more. And in fact, we at the time we were doing this interview, we did the Boss Lady Summit over the weekend. And I loved your ideas on basically work-life balance, how to succeed in business and how to succeed in your personal life. And I'll ask you this question for our friends around the world. What are your big tips for busy people to have a life and succeed? What are your tips for achieving that seemingly impossible work-life balance?
I think, I'm learning, as you know, today is my day 8 of self-care. So I deliberately took this move to actually focus on me for a change, because during this pandemic, I've been very, very busy. I realized that I could reach the world through Zoom like this. I came up with an idea to reach a lot of people around the world affected by sickle cell disease. And pretty much from August to January, I was on social media maybe 3, 4, 5 days a week. I became so busy, and now I just had to step back and say, what should I do? I need to focus on me. And how can I focus on me is to have a plan. So as I've said, I know, I've put everything on the table. These are my responsibilities. When do I do them? When do I have time for me? So I think having a plan is number one, because you can burn out. I almost did. So having a plan and being dedicated, being passionate about something. If you're really passionate about it, it's going to work, but you have to be dedicated and have a plan, and have that free time to actually look after yourself, because you can't do so much without being able to look after yourself and the family around you.
Oh, love it. And so well put, Agnes. And I just want to ask, how can people get into contact with you for our fans around the world?
Just Google me.
Google you.
Google me.
And of course,
find me.
and of course, LinkedIn, but they can add you on legendary LinkedIn.
They can find me on LinkedIn. Nothing beats LinkedIn, because from LinkedIn, I'll tell you that you're going to find a website which will give you all these other social media platforms. So the best thing is just to find me on LinkedIn, find me on Facebook, and it will have all the other social media platforms as well.
Oh, it's a spirit. Now, I want to give you the closing thoughts and final words. Can you leave a thought with our fans across the world to keep them thinking? Last word to you.
I think dedicate that time for you to ensure that at the end of the day, you are really looking after yourself and your family.